Mohenjo-Daro. Mohenjo-Daro, meaning Mound of the Dead Man, is an archaeological site in the province of Sindh, Pakistan. Built around 2500 before Christ era, it was one of the largest settlements of the ancient Indus Valley civilization and one of the world's earliest major cities, contemporaneous with the civilization of ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Minoan Crete, and North Chico. Mohenjo-Daro was abandoned in the 19th century before Christ era as the Indus Valley civilization declined, and the site was not rediscovered until the 1920s. Significant excavation and silence been conducted at the site of the city, which was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1980. The site is currently threads from wikipedia.com. Mohenjo-Daro, the Faceless. Indus Valley City Puzzles Archaeologist by John Roach. A well-planned street grid and elaborate drainage system hint that the occupants of the ancient Indus civilization city of Mohenjo-Daro were skilled urban planners with a reverence for the control of water. But just to occupy the ancient city in modern-day Pakistan during the 3rd millennium before Christ remains a puzzle. It's pretty faceless, says Indus expert Gregory Postle of the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. The city lacks ostentatious palaces, temples, or monuments. There's no obvious central seat of government or evidence of a king or queen. Modesty, order, and cleanliness were apparently preferred. Pottery and tools of copper and stone were standardized. Seals and weights suggest a system of tightly controlled trade. The city's wealth and stature is evident in artifacts such as ivory, lapis, carnelian, and gold beads, as well as the baked brick city structure themselves. A watertight pool called the Great Bath, perched on top of a mound of dirt and held in place with walls of baked brick, is the closest structure Mohenjo-Daro has to a temple. Posel, a National Geographic guarantee, says it suggests an ideology based on cleanliness. Wells were found throughout the city, and nearly every house contained a bathing area and drainage system. Archaeologists first visited Mohenjo-Daro in 1911. Several excavations occurred in the 1920s through 1931. Small probe took place in the 1930s, and subsequent digs occurred in 1950 and 1964. The ancient city sits on elevated ground in the modern-day Larkana district of Sindh province in Pakistan. During its heyday from about 2500 to 1900 BC, the city was among the most important to the Indus civilization, Posel says. It spread out over about 250 acres or 100 hectares on a series of mounds and a great bath, and an associated large building occupied the tallest mound. According to University of Wisconsin-Madison archaeologist Jonathan Mark Kenoyer, also a National Geographic grantee, the mounds grew organically over the centuries as people kept building platforms and walls for their houses. You have a high promontory on which people are living, he says. With no evidence of kings or queens, Mohenjo-Daro was likely governed as a city-state, perhaps by elected officials or elites from each of the mounds. A miniature bronze statue of a nude female, known as the Dancing Girl, was celebrated by archaeologists when it was discovered in 1926, Kenoyer notes. Of greater interest to him are a few of stone sculptures of seated male figures, such as the intricately curved and colored priest king, so called even though there is no evidence he was a priest or king. The sculptures were all found broken, Kenoyer says. Whoever came out at the end of the Indus period clearly didn't like the people who were representing themselves or their elders, he says. Just what ended the Indus civilization, and Mohenjo-Daro, is also a mystery. Kenoyer suggests that the Indus River changed course, which would have hampered the local agricultural economy and the city's importance as a center of trade. But no evidence exists that flooding destroyed the city and the city wasn't totally abandoned, Kenoyer says, and Postel says a changing river course doesn't explain the collapse of the entire Indus civilization. Throughout the valley, the culture changed, he says. It reached some kind of obvious archaeological fruition about 1900 before Christ, he said. What tribes that nobody knows? This is Ryan Garcia. Thanks for listening and watching the Ryan G TV production. For more news, updates, fun videos, and educational videos, please subscribe to my channel. Ryan G TV, good morning.